A lot
Okay.
of people that I talk with, they think of stress as just mental, emotional stuff. So those are the usual suspects. But there's other things that cause our body to produce more of those stress hormones other than just worry, fear, and anxiety. How about if you wait too long to eat after you wake up?
Mm-hmm.
Because your blood sugar is low, your body has to produce more cortisol, more norepinephrine to bring that blood sugar up because you chose not to eat anything for another hour and a half. Blood sugar's low. That's going to create all kinds of other downstream complications. So, it's not just what you eat or how you eat, it's a combination of both out there. So stress is just more than worry, fear, and anxiety.
Hello from the Pacific Northwest. This is Kristen from KristenWamback.com, and you're listening to Interviewing Jesus podcast. Answer me this. How does a Baptist farm girl from Oregon stumble upon the mystical nature of Christ, the love of God? If you're like me, Jesus has redefined what you used to say yes to. Join me and my guests on a mystical journey. But before we talk about the spiritual woo-woo, you need to know I am totally sold out to Jesus. It's amazing what the love of God reveals.
Hello and welcome. Have you ever felt that despite your best efforts, your spiritual journey and your physical health are completely out of sync, leaving you tired or frustrated? I could raise my hand to that one. What if a simple daily actions that you could take, how you sleep, how you eat, and even how you think were actually the key to unlocking a more profound and authentic spiritual awakening? Welcome back to Interviewing Jesus podcast. I'm thrilled today to introduce to you a brilliant mind and a deeply insightful voice. Dr. Len Lopez is a seasoned chiropractor, sports physician, certified clinical nutritionist, and strength conditioning coach who has spent over 25 years teaching people to eat right, train smart, think better, the creator of 5 Steps a Day app. As we dive into this conversation, I'd like you to consider which one of your current habits, sleep, think, eat, physical, or spirit, is your weakest link. Oh, we're jumping in. I told you. We have an intentional action today, and I would like to welcome Dr. Len.
Well,
Welcome.
thank you, Kristen. It's a pleasure to be here, and I like that warm introduction. And yeah, the way you described it, which one of those 5 actions are you most deficient in, or which one needs the most help?
I agree. And I was going through which one do I want to check off today and just really draw from you your wisdom. And listeners, this is the very first time that I have invited somebody to actually speak into my life, speak into your life regarding our whole body alignment with God today. Dr. Len, would you walk us through introducing and the moment of realization with your 5 steps a day system? It's a cool app. What specific gap in personal development were you trying to fill that led to creating this unique to-do list tracking our body, mind, and spirit?
Well, that's an interesting question for me because when I look back, because I've had this question asked before, for the last 25 years, I've been helping patients, work with their physical body, either trying to get their health better, get their fitness level better. And so I've been, listening to people tell me all about what they're eating and what they're not eating, what they're doing to stay healthy and fit and everything. And as I would listen to that, I would hear them. And as it's just like, I'm assuming it's like when you go see some other counselor and you're talking with them, but you're talking to them about the mental issue. Kind of like you don't talk to your plumber about your electrical problem, right? You don't talk to your mechanic about your electrical problem. And so I thought, let me stay in my lane of health and fitness. But I would hear people tell me as we became closer in our contact and they would just tell me more stuff, and I could hear them as they were struggling in some of the mental thoughts they were putting in. Why am I here? Why am I not here on earth? But why? I'm married. I have a mortgage. I have a wife. I have this job. I have this career. This isn't what I planned for myself. I don't know how I'm stuck in here. But doc, can you fix my shoulder? Can you help me? Get rid of the weight and everything. And so I would hear more of that. And I just said, gosh, something, where can I help them there? But I knew my lane was the health and fitness stuff, not to get into the spiritual or not to get into the mental thing. And on all honesty, what happened, it must have been about maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I was being interviewed for a magazine on health and fitness. And we did an article for them on Authority Magazine, and then they came back about a year later, say, "Hey, doc, we really like the article on health and fitness. We want to do another one, but we want to do kind of more body, mind, and spirit." I don't know if that's within your realm, doc, or just because some people might be hesitant about talking about the spirit aspect and the mind. They just do only physical. And I thought about it. And I actually prayed about it and went to bed that night. And the next morning, I sent them stuff because I had created 5 steps a day 20 some odd years ago. And I shared it with them. And all it was is a tool that came out of me and my practice with my patients as far as for health and fitness. But it was just, I showed them the steps and they go, this is just a cool little way to track your habits and see how you're feeding body, mind, and spirit. I'm sure some of your listeners, they're tracking their steps with their watch, right? They're closing their rings with there to see what they're doing for their physical body. Well, 5 steps is kind of doing the same thing, but we're also asking, what are you doing for your mind? What are you doing for your spirit? Are you doing anything for the, or are you just only so out of balance? Is only everything is just physical, nothing on the mental or spiritual, and vice versa. As we were talking earlier, some people are so locked into their spiritual walk that they neglect maybe their physical health. And so 5 steps a day is just a simple way to track how you're feeding body, mind, and spirit. So, I learned this with my kids because they always tell me my cooking stinks. But I said, soon enough, you will be your own chef to determine how you want to feed not just your body, but as you become an adult and everything, how are you going to feed your mind? What kind of thoughts are you going to feed your mind with? How about your spirit? Are you working your spiritual muscles or not? And so 5 steps is just a simple way in less than 2 minutes, kind of just, you can get an idea of where you're at and then do the necessary adjustment changes, hopefully. As like my dad would say, you have the information, or as they say on Shark Tank, give me some data. And so you can get some data within a week's time to see, are you doing this? Are you taking the steps that are going to help make you, healthy, wealthy, and wise? Or I like to say, bigger, better, bolder. If you are, fantastic, pat yourself on the back. If you're not doing it, like I try to teach my kid, being the older guy with younger kids, saying, hey, whose fault is it? You need to take that action because, after you get out of here and I quit paying the bills, you have to start making these decisions yourself. And you're the one's going to determine how, kind of like, trying to in fifth grade, seventh grade, ninth grade, trying to make the soccer team, trying to make the basketball team, trying to make the choir, trying to make first chair. What are you going to do to make that happen so you get that position?
Good stuff. I'm going to use my current season, knowing that you're here. I'm going to try to pull some gold out that actually feeds into my particular season. So I'm going to use it as a guinea pig and
Okay.
pick your brain to help me because I know that God puts us in the same place, same season. Maybe they're a little different, but I'm not the only one asking these questions. My family and my financial responsibilities have escalated in this season. I work out, meditate, talk to God, and I love your sleep suggestions with a smile. I could use some tips. The first thoughts in my head when I wake is my ego screaming overwhelmed before my feet hit the floor.
Okay.
Help! Help! I could use some insight into that.
Well, let me guess. You know, you mentioned sleep, and if I can share really what the sleep step is, because so
Mhm.
often people just kind of think, okay, did I get enough sleep? Did I sleep? Did I fall asleep easy enough? Did I not wake up and fall and stay awake for 2 or 3 more hours? I'm not asking those questions. I'm asking, when you went to bed and you went to sleep and you started dreaming, did you sleep with a smile on your face? And I say that because when you fall asleep thinking about where it is you want to go, what it is you want to achieve in your life, just put those seeds in your head, in your subconscious mind. Let your subconscious mind chew on that for the next 7 to 8 hours as far as your destination, where you want to go. That's what's going to be churning. And as you close your eyes and visualize that picture, whether you're looking to buy a new car, a new house, a new job, you wanna be, getting that round of applause because you on opening night, whatever you're doing a great presentation, whatever thing you're dreaming about, and this could be something you're dreaming about that could be 5 days away, 5 months away, 5 years away. But when you close your eyes at night and you have some focus on where you want to go, what you wanna do, and you start visualizing it, you'll notice that it's one of these Pavlov dog thing. You'll notice that as you get more vivid with the picture you want to see. Let's say you want to go be on a cruise. You see yourself, climbing onto the stairs to get onto the boat, and you see yourself on there with the hat, the mark, and the big old drink, and whatever it is that you're going to envision. But the more vivid that picture is in your mind, you'll notice as you're trying to fall asleep, just this big old smile will start growing on your face. And that's what you're putting your subconscious to chew on for the next 7 to 8 hours. And unfortunately, for a lot of people that have struggles in life, a lot of times they don't know where they want to go. They're just wake up every morning, just kind of going by the wayside, sort of speak, seeing where the waves are going to take them. But if you know where, what's the definition of a map? In my opinion, a map is something that you use to get from A to B. And so
Mhm.
that's all. That's sleeping at night. Do you have a visualization, a dream board, something that tells you this is what I am destined for? Okay.
Mhm.
If you're trying to lose weight, if you see yourself now at 140 pounds instead of 160 pounds, or you see yourself with 20-inch bicep instead of 13-inch bicep, what is it that you're visualizing and everything? And that's what you put in your mind, and that's what the sleep stuff is all about. Did you fall asleep thinking about where it is you want to go? And if you did, shade in that very first S. You go. So this is the 5 steps are a very visual tool to help you get to where you want to go. I think we've
Mhm.
all seen the various photos of the footsteps in the sand, right? Well, this is
Mhm.
all this is really is. It's just each day you can see that you take 3 steps today, 5 steps today, 4 steps today over the last 3 days, a whole week, and you can
Mhm.
see, hey, I'm doing pretty good. I should pat myself, like my dad would say, do you need a pat on the back or need a good kick in the rear? And that's
Mhm.
being polite, the way my dad was and everything. So, that's just kind of, what the stuff's all about, just helping you. And sleep is just one portion of it. I say, eat better, eat right, train smart, think better, dream better.
When you were talking there, what I heard Holy Spirit blend in there. So I'm really good at the physical, the seeing side, the intuitive stuff. And what I heard is Holy Spirit said with what you said is that I need to press into it more so I can feel the emotion.
Yes. You feel the emotion, but it also gives all the cells in your body, the atom in your body, some direction. And I know that a lot of counselors always say one of the biggest problems for the next generation and every generation is that what they say 80% of the population, they've never written their goals down. They don't know where they want to go. And I
Mhm.
always like to use the analogy of the proverbial land of milk and honey. I think we've all heard it, especially coming. We're on a show here, speaking with Jesus, right? The proverbial land of milk and honey, it's different for everybody, right? What is your proverbial land of milk and honey as I'm presenting it right now? What destination, where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? And I
Mhm.
say that because if you don't know what your land of milk and honey is and where it's at, don't be complaining if you land at the land of heartache, or if you arrive at the land of heartaches and headaches. Unfortunately, so many people, they don't know where their land of milk and honey is or what their land of milk and honey is. but they're just belly aching about their situation, their circumstances. But if they would have had some direction, so when the wind is in their face, they know the effort they're giving will get them there. And heck, how about when the wind is at your back and you know where you want to go? It's going to even help you that much greater. And again, a lot of stuff I've read over the years is that so many people just kind of wake up each morning and deal with the day, and they don't think about 5 days later, 5 weeks later, 5 years down the road, what they're trying to achieve, where they're trying to go, and everything. That's why a map is so important, because a map, a vision board, it just kind of helps you, in that subconscious, remember what it is you're trying to do, where it is you're trying to go, because nowadays it is so easy to get so distracted. And, we're all walking around one of these guys, right? And
Mm,
it just distracts your thinking, and it's easy to get you off course.
I agree with the vision board. I agree with writing him down. I'm an avid journaler and all that stuff. And I totally agree that we need to put our smartphones, why they're so smart, I don't know, on timeout. Another area that I could just use a boost in is I'm guilty. I get up, I work out, I have my cup of coffee, but then I put food on the back burner in the morning. Then I look up and I'm starving at about 11 a.m. I'm going, my gosh, and I'm just past starving. I'm sure my blood sugar is just like, how do I make the adjustment to give food the proper time and focus to provide me with the appropriate energy?
Well, maybe I think you would possibly make it if you understood how valuable that food is. Because remember, when we go to bed at night, typically, let's say 10 p.m., and if
Mhm.
you're waking up, let's say 7 a.m., you've been at least 9, if not maybe not 12 hours without ingesting anything into your system. And so your body is on the decline of nutrition upload. The tank is on the empty side. And what
Mhm.
people sometimes only look at is just calories in and calories out, fat gram. But what you really need to be looking at is, as far how is your blood sugar staying for the 24 hours a day? And for a lot of people, and I have this person that lives with me called my wife, and I have to say, and she'll get up in the morning, she'll do kind of what you're talking about, grab her tea, go do all kinds of stuff, go get a workout in, and then she finishes, and then she starts her work day, and she's doing this stuff. She's been up for an hour and a half already, finished her workout. She's still going another hour before she even puts anything in her body. Well, her fuel tank, her blood sugar is low, and she's in pretty good health. But still, if you don't nourish the body, and depending on what you ate the night before, how good was it? How long maintaining, stabilizing was it for your blood sugar? Maybe you had a big pasta meal, which isn't the greatest meal. I mean, it's good tasting, but maybe, you didn't have enough meat in there to help balance out that protein hit that you want, and that good fat to keep your blood sugar stable. But, I was doing a show one time. They asked me what are my thoughts are on fasting. I go, there's a plus and a minus. For a lot of people, just going, to 8 to 12 hours, 16 hours without further injuring their digestive system, because so many people struggle with digestive issues, bloating, gas, indigestion, heartburn, all of that kind of stuff. And in fact, when I was in practice, that was probably the number one problem I kept on seeing. One of the top two, I say it that way. Now, that was not why they came into the office. They
Yeah.
came into the office complaining about something else that was a much more difficult, scary health issue, that gets all the names on the papers and everything. But when we looked at all their symptomatology that was going on, digestive function, digestive health was the number one challenge they were having. But I say this lovingly to women, okay, because women will, in my opinion, they will be more than happy to tell you how out of whack their hormones are, how out of whack their allergies are, their sinuses going on, but they'll never tell you how gassy and bloated and ucky they feel inside. So it's just not. And so, but that's what I would see in my office and everything. And I had patients that would come back and tell me, "Hey doc, I'm doing so much better, but I have to tell you something. That little section there on your health questionnaire, I really wasn't honest in there because I was too embarrassed to tell you how
Uh,
gassy and bloated and this, that, and the other they are."
mhm.
And so I go, "Oh, good," because I couldn't figure out why the health challenge you were having. I would have suspected, like that criminal would be the one to go arrest and everything. But you told me that that's not the suspect. But now you come back a week later, 2 weeks later, how much better you're feeling. Oh, okay, now it makes sense. So now I'm on the right track of trying to help you restore your health and everything.
What I heard in that is the importance of being authentic to the people that we're asking help with, but we also need to be authentic
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
with ourselves, that just because we're strong and capable doesn't mean that we put those little gases and those little burps on the side. We need to pay attention and be authentic. This is uncomfortable. This is not serving me well. What can I do?
Well, to your point there, I always talk about what I've seen in my practice, and a lot of people came from me for a lot of the other chronic issues. Okay. Other than just, and I thought when I first got into practice 30 years ago, I'd be just doing, aches and pains and sports medicine type stuff, but I was getting my fair share of lots of the other chronic issues, more than my fair share. And it was just, you don't know what's creating all the problems for everybody. But there's the old statement that this vicious cycle. One of the first dominoes to fall, in my opinion, is digestive function, digestive health. And once that goes kaplooey, then it creates other symptomatology. You become more acidic. Then it creates hormonal imbalance. And then it creates sugar cravings. Then it creates, just a whole mess of other fatigue steps, step gets its way in there. And so, it's just trying to find out really where the first domino is. And as in my opinion, and I've seen enough patients and I have a fairly good opinion, is that yes, so many people are struggling with digest. And I mean, I would have patients come back and say, doc, I come to you, I go to my gastroenterologist, he's supposed to be like the best in the city, and he's telling me my diet has nothing to do with it. Take this medication. Yeah, you come to me and says everything's really a result of. I always say there's three steps to eating right. And one of the second step is it your dietary choices or is it your dietary habit causing your problem? Are you eating all the wrong cruddy food? Or do you just always eat on the run in the car in a hurry? And that's going to mess up and turn off your digestive system. So just because you put it in doesn't mean it's being processed and broken down properly.
Mm.
Am I staying on subject with your audience here?
Oh, no, I can raise two hands with the hurry thing. But if I'm guilty as what I consider myself a high performance kind of gal, I always put food in the hurry category because I'm going to get this done, this done, this done. And I don't honor that particular area in my life.
Right.
Help me, Jesus.
No,
Okay. Yeah.
shoot away. Go ahead.
In the area of releasing stress, I'm looking at the help in my life and helping our listeners releasing stress. So we have sleep, think, eat, physical, and spiritual. How do we release physically and emotionally through the 5 steps? How do we release it? What's a tangible point?
Okay, let me see if I can answer it this way for you. A lot
Okay.
of people that I talk with, they think of stress as just mental, emotional stuff. Those are the usual suspects, but there's other things that cause our body to produce more of those stress hormones other than just worry, fear, and anxiety. How about if you wait too long to eat after you wake up?
Mm-hmm.
Because your blood sugar is low, your body has to produce more cortisol, more norepinephrine to bring that blood sugar up because you chose not to eat anything for another hour and a half. Blood sugar's low. That's going to create all kinds of other downstream complications. So, it's not just what you eat or how you eat, it's a combination of both out there. So stress is just more than worry, fear, and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the other things you do, exercise. I always talk about eat right and train smart. One of the first rules of training smart is to recognize that exercise is another stress on the body. Now, walking for maybe less than half the population is probably stress reducing. But for half the population, and I say it this way, because in North America, they say more than two-thirds of the adult population are overweight and are obese. So for some people, walking at a pace they could be walking, but because they are so deconditioned, it's become stressful on their body, and if they try to walk faster, you may see them in your neighborhood, I see them in my neck of the woods here, they're jogging, and they're just a big person, and they're just struggling away, and I know they're going too fast for what they really wanna achieve. They think, "Okay, exercise is good," right? So they're out there sweating it away, but their little heart is just beating 100 miles an hour because they're going at a pace faster than they are conditioned for, and so it's about, again, training smart. Exercise is another stress you're putting on the body. And for several of my patients, they're already at they're already redlining it, so to speak, with the amount of stress that they're consuming because of work, kids, their relationship with their spouse or whomever, that they have all this other stress. And then they start exercising. That could be just take you over the tipping point to where now you're producing more cortisol, more norepinephrine in your body than your body can handle. And that's going to throw off the body because your body's thinking you're in this fight or flight mode all the time, because that's what those hormones are there for, to help you fight off when stressful situations come about. So the steps are, again, they're not specifically for one specific thing. It's just trying to track, what are you doing to feed your body? What are you doing to feed your mind? What are you doing to feed your spirit? Are you doing it? And that's a big thing. And I'll see patients that are tell me, yeah, oh yeah, I work out. And I shouldn't say patient, other people I meet in social settings. Oh yeah, yeah, I work out, doc. Yeah, 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 I work out. And I'm looking at, I'm thinking, okay, you're like 40 pounds overweight. Are you how how well are you working out? So I don't know. Everybody has their own measurement, I guess.
Mhm, mhm, I love what we're blending here regarding the area of habits, and then I blend in habits and attitude. And something that I've noticed in the people that I work with, sometimes we have negative and positive habits, and sometimes we're not aware of the difference between them because they're habit. We've been doing them for such a long time. What cues could we take to evaluate differences?
Well, to your point of habits and attitudes, I'm a big believer. Those are my big word. Your habits and attitude. And I always think of it this way: your habits and attitude are like your DNA. It's your genetic code, right? If you
Yep.
trace your genetic code, you can kind of see where you came from. Well, the same way, if you trace back your habits and attitude, you may see that maybe some of your accomplishment and achievement in life, that your habits and attitude were in a more positive direction for your overall growth. But by the same token, when you've hit those times of where you've been hit those difficulties in life, those challenges in life, well, we've all had them. Maybe when you look back, you may notice that some of your habits and attitudes really weren't there. Maybe you were spending too much time, binge watch, on your phone, watching another cat video, watching another, more football game, more baseball game, more whatever, to where you're being distracted, and you only have certain amount of time a day to get something done. And it's okay to take dead time and make it just dead time for yourself, just something you want to watch the ball game, you want to play video game, you want to look at all the cat video. But it's when it becomes more than an allowable time, or that it takes over to where it interferes with you making yourself more productive. And that's where the
Mhm,
the, the the challenge comes for a lot of people. They don't realize that. And so all the steps is just, hey, are you doing some of the things you need to be doing? And the more you see your step, because this is a very, and I think that's why so many people really like the step, because it's very visual. Not
mhm,
everybody, I'm sure you know this, Kristen, that not everybody learns by just reading or
mhm,
listening. They are more visual, more kinesthetic. And so
mhm,
whether they choose to use the five steps calendar or the journal or use the app, by just seeing all those footsteps down there, it kind of, hey, I did good. It's like the footsteps in the sand. You see lots of footsteps. You feel the pat on the back, but also by the same token, you can look and say, gosh, I did a really cruddy job this past week. I only took like 6 steps for the whole week of the potential 35 steps for the week, that I need to kick myself in the rear and step it up. Everybody thinks you get to decide how strong they want to be. But as I try to teach my young kids or my kids that are growing, that hey, you're an adult, you get to pick what you want to do and everything. It's no more mom and dad choosing for you, and so this is what being an adult is, and we all face it. And you'll see those who are better at it than others, and those who take longer to get there. It took me a while to get to where, again, reading more books when I was in my 20s and 30s, and I realized, oh man, I've had my head in the wrong direction, in the wrong area. I need to switch it around, and I learned, and thank heavens I learned. But what do they say? When the student is ready, the master will appear. And so, to confess to you, one of the first early books I remember reading was like The Power of Positive Thinking. And I'm
Mhm.
just going, after about 100 pages, like there's too much God in here, and I kind of tossed it away and everything. But that's the honest truth, So in my spiritual walk, I've gone full circle, and so you are what you eat, you are what you think, and we've learned that, and for a lot of people, they don't realize that they're not only just consuming food that's really not beneficial for them, but they're consuming thoughts that are also destructive for you as well.
It is difficult. If we can blend, it says you were talking about when we physically shade in a step, that
Right.
how that simple act strengthens our connection between our spiritual intention and our body's intention. What is that doing to our conscious mind and our subconscious mind when we start shading in those steps?
When I shared it with a few other close friends, and some of them were PhD doctors, and they say, "Len, do you know by shading in, that's really getting that biochemical endorphin hit?" I go, "I know that. I just didn't know anybody else knew that I had to tell 'em." And so he goes, "Yeah," because I always look back and I'm sure your audience knows who Jerry Seinfeld is. And
Mhm.
not to tell I'm a huge fan of Seinfeld, right? And it was like he created a Seinfeld's calendar. And I don't know if you know the story, but people would ask him when he became more and more famous, "What do you attribute to your success?" And he said, "When I was younger, I knew if I wanted to be successful in this business, I needed to write 10 jokes a day." That was his it's kinda like, "I need to do 50 push-ups a day if you wanna be in shape. I need to write 10 jokes a day." So he took a wall calendar, and if on Monday, if he wrote the jokes down, he would put a big red X there. And the next day, if he did 10 jokes, another X and another X. And he started realizing that he liked seeing all the X's on the calendar. He didn't like seeing the broken spots of there. So it just helped encourage him. And so the 5 steps is the same way. When you see all 5 of your steps filled out 3, 4, 5 times in a week and everything, it's just more gratified. It makes you feel I'm doing something right. You don't have to advertise it to anybody. You can if you want to. Please tell them where you got some book. No, but you can see it yourself, and there's something about it. It's one of those Pavlov dog things. I always say, it just gets in your subconscious mind. You pat yourself on the back mentally, seeing 3, 4, and 5 steps. There's days, where I miss 2 and miss 3 things, but overall for the week, I can look back and see, hey, I'm doing what I need to be doing to get where I want to go.
It's so important to celebrate yourself. And when we
I'm sure you were the same way as far as I used to journal, 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 and I have calendars and books of that, but it was so hard to go back and review them. I mean, okay, now I don't have the time to go back and look at them. Sometimes I would do that, but what's really cool about it, especially on the app, you can just kind of scroll through there real quick, and you can just see, oh man, this week, this month, I did a really good job and everything. And so the same way with the calendar, with the journal, the journal, if you want to write more stuff on paper, you can. But the app, you can also journal as well. You can put it's also a to-do list as well. There's many things you can do with it, but it's just another way to help you do what you want, help
Mhm.
you get on track. Will it take 21 days, 90 days for you to make that metamorphosis and be this focused, functioning person? I don't know. Everybody's going to be different. It's kind of like my dad would tell me, "How long is it going to take you to get 20-inch bicep?" I don't know. It depends on how much effort you put into it. And so, in my opinion, as long as you're moving in the right direction, that's the goal. I mean, the each step. If I can veer off to the each step. If you ate right today, shade in the E. I'm not asking if you ate perfect. I'm not asking if it was grass fed or organic or this or, for some people, because we're all starting at a different starting point. Some
Mhm.
people just, not having a second serving, not having dessert, could be enough for them, right? But I always tell them, think of it this way, and because so many of the challenges or failures of people that are dieting is that, as what I would see, my opinion from the people I would see, is that they would diet really good for 1, 2, 6 days, 7 days, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden they mess up. They go out and have dinner with their friends, anniversary party, whatnot, and it's like you had to bring that dessert out. Oh my God, I can't stay away from it. And you wolf it all down. Great. But they fell off the wagon, and yet they never get back on the wagon again because, "Oh, I blew everything. I messed up my diet because I had one screw up. It's gonna ruin." No, I mean, today, most people have 3 meals a day. If you had 2 good meals and 1 bad meal, to me, that's 2 steps forward and 1 step backward. You're still moving in the right direction. Home runs are great. You can win with home runs, but yeah, base hits can also get you a
Oh,
victory as
yeah.
well.
I noticed on the 5-Step app, the day after the World Series win with the Dodgers, I went, "Look at that, he's a baseball fan." I
My
did notice.
Astros and Rangers weren't there, but I was okay to root for. I didn't have a dog in the hunt in that game and
I
everything,
know,
but
neither did we. So we kinda went, do we want the underdog? Do we want, the Dodgers? So anyhow, I
it was a great
appreciated.
series. It was a great
It
series.
was wonderful, excellent pitching. My goodness, it was so good.
And now we're going to now we're going to
Yeah.
sports.
Yeah. So when you ask someone, "Did you work your spiritual muscles?" What tangible examples of spiritual exercise or discipline are you hoping they reflect on?
Well, that's a great question, and let me tell you how I got to that rationale of working your spiritual muscles. Being in the health and fitness industry, I always thought, okay, I know what to do if I want to get my body bigger, stronger. I need to work it 1, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week, right? But working your spiritual muscles, and when I was first trying to really learn more about him and what he had, I would sit there and get so mad at myself that I could always find time in my day to go run, to go lift weights, to go do something physically for my physical body. And I always had a hard time to sit down and just read. Okay. And maybe every third day, every fourth day. Then I realized, okay, and again, this is back in the, to tell you not how old I am, but back in the 80s, when there was no phones around and stuff
The
like that.
80s.
Yeah, I'm really going back. But back in there, all you had was you'll know what I'm talking about. If you wanted to hear maybe just a sermon, you could go to the AM station. Oh, okay, I'm driving 45 minutes to get from A to B. Okay, maybe, hey, I didn't have time to read today because I went and worked out, but I'm gonna have 45 minutes in the car. Let me listen to this sermon here on this AM station here. And that was filling my that was providing nourishment for me and helping me grow at that time frame. But today, again, to go back to these little guys that we're all walking around carrying here, when you're sitting in traffic going anywhere, there's so many different ways you can work your spiritual muscle, as there are many ways to work your physical body. You can lift weights, run, bicycle, row, things like that. Well, yeah, reading scripture would be great, but you can also maybe you just fellowship with others that night. Maybe there was something like that you were getting on. Maybe you were attending service. Maybe you were serving. Maybe you were just listening to some good music that really that helped you for that 20, 30-minute drive you were in, or while you're sitting in the bus, or you're sitting in the cab, or whatever. So, it doesn't have to always be with scriptures open and reading to work your spiritual muscles. You can still strengthen your spiritual muscles by one of the other options that are available for you. So that's what I mean. Did you do anything to work your spiritual muscles today? Because in my opinion, to neglect your spirit is like skipping a meal. It's going to leave you empty. And so if you can just find time, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever it is for you, to where it was helpful, beneficial for you, that's what we're hoping people will recognize.
I agree. I think the most important thing for me is hearing God. And
Yep.
that is not, that's not written down on a text. He might refer a text, but hearing God, to have that communication in relationship. And you can do that while you eat, you can do that while you're walking, while you're exercising, while you're jumping on your little trampoline. You invite God to speak to you throughout every step that you take of the day.
For myself, a lot of times when I'll go do my physical walk, and I may go walk 3 times a week, right? And so I'll sit there and sometimes I'll use, but a lot of times I just don't want anything. I just want to enjoy the walk, think about some other stuff and maybe practice my speaking skills and everything. But other times I'll sit there and say, "Hey, I can grab my phone with me. I can put on a podcast of somebody I want to listen to and everything
Mhm.
and just get that nourishment." And for myself, the fact that sometimes on Sundays I don't get a chance to attend service because I got 3 kids that are all athletes that, I'm gone Sunday trying to get to here and there for them. So, there's again, there's more ways to work your spiritual muscle other than just thinking like you did in the '80s. You can only sit and read to get that nourishment. But now they're again fellowship, serving, and that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. There's so many different ways that you can nourish your spiritual muscles. And I like to think, if I can share one thought, I always think of people like, do you wait do you wait before you do anything about your financial, capabilities until the bank account says 0? Do you wait to do anything about your health until you get that prognosis that you don't look really healthy and everything? Do you wait until the calamity of life sets in for you before you actually open up in His Word and try to strengthen yourself in His Word?
Mhm.
Unfortunately, for a lot of people, they do wait till the very end. But when you can do and strengthen it when you're not, hanging by the rope and everything, you might grow further.
Uh-huh. But I will say the grace of God is right there ready to meet us if we're hanging on that rope. He's right there, actually hanging with us, saying, "How's this working out for you?"
Absolutely, absolutely.
I think my favorite steps is, did I think better? The thought. Because that seems to move my day, and it's so crucial for my mindset. Help us, please. How does one objectively measure or gauge improvements in this area? What separates simple thinking from thinking better?
Okay, let me say this. Well, I learned this a few years ago. I learned from a bunch of researchers that on average we process about 50,000 thoughts a day. I thought, are you kidding me?
Mm,
50,000 thoughts run through our head a day. But the thing that was more fascinating to me when I started really investigating and researching this out, they say that about 80% of our thoughts today are negative thoughts that we had from yesterday. And when I think of it this way, if you're on social media or you own a restaurant or something, and you get nine things, comments that say you're great, you're great, you're great, your service is great, your show is great, your restaurant is great, but you get that one that sticks a fork in you and says, you stink, everything was terrible. That's the one you chew on for the rest of the day or for the rest of the week. And so we have a tendency to continually think on the negative side of things. And so all what I'm suggesting is that, and as many others have suggested also from many of the books we've read, and as that scripture teaches, a man is as a man thinketh. What are
mhm.
you thinking? And I phrased it one time this way, and somebody asked me, "So you're telling me, Doc, if I say it a bazillion times, I'm great, I'm strong, I'm handsome, whatever it is, that's how I'm going to get there?" And I go, no, think of it this way. I'm just trying to say that most of your thoughts are negative. And if you can take a drop or two here and there, take 1 or 2 minutes to tell yourself, I feel great, I'm confident, I'm a winner, whatever phraseology that fits your vocabulary, right? But if you take 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes of something encouraging for yourself, that's 2 minutes that you're not kicking yourself in the rear about everything about like you do the rest of the day. And I share that just for the fact that in my opinion, I think life is a lot like the end of the ball. We're talking about sports a minute ago. Ninth inning, 2 outs, you're down by a run. Who comes up to bat? Not me. I made the last down the last inning. But the person that comes up to bat is the person what are you going to tell them? Okay. Are you going to tell them, Gosh, I can't believe it's you coming up the bat where you gotta start packing up. You're going to fill them with words of confidence. You're gonna feed them with something that's gonna help encourage them, whether it's, whether it's a sports performance, whether it's coming up and doing a show, right? Whether you're gonna go audition, whether you're going to go give a presentation in front of the big boss, whatever, you have to go in there with a state of confidence. And so that's why I kinda like the phrase, you gotta go in there thinking that you're bigger, better, bolder. And that's what thinking is all about. Can you take a minute here, a minute there throughout the day? And you may find that your instinctual thinking is slowly starting to be less negative, and just you're putting some kind of positive focus into you, and maybe it's going to start resonating out to others might see that, because maybe somebody doesn't want to come chat with you or talk to you because you resonate so much negativity. And sometimes people don't really realize that everything they talk about is always kind of just on the downside of something. And so, we are what we eat, we are what we think. Question is, what are you eating? What are you thinking? And so that's what the think step is all about. If you thought better today, if you put some kind of positive words, and I always tell everybody, just think about the how long does it take you? And you made a reference to this a little earlier. How long does it take you from the time your feet hit the ground before you remind yourself that I feel great, I'm a winner, I can do it, I'm going to have a great day? Is it after you go to the bathroom? Is it maybe after you get dressed, after you fed the dogs, after you got the kids off to school, after you got to work? How long does it take you before you give yourself any words of encouragement? And that's what we're trying to do. A minute here, a minute there. Hopefully, like my mother would say, if you put enough drops on that carpet, you're going to make a big stain. I'm going to really whip you. So it's just enough drops will get you where you want to go.
That was a great word right there, and I'm gonna pull it and ask you to say it again. How long does it take us to give ourselves an affirmation?
In the day, that's gonna be your choice. What can you
Woo!
do to help you? I like telling people, and other people have suggested it's not like my idea, but, people would put Post-it notes on there, on their
Mhm.
mirror just to remind them just something. What this is again why I think vision boards are a good thing. You can even on the app, you can put your own little vision board on the app to where when it opens up, you can kinda see, "Oh, there's the Caribbean cruise I wanna take. Oh, there's the new car I want. Ooh, there's the office I want."
Mhm.
You know, I've shared that with a few people, but I used to one of my dreams back then because I'm the old. I've only been married once, and we've been married for 27 years or 27 years. So it's a good.
Congratulations.
I've been married only once with one wife, and but I married late in life, and nobody could stand me. That's why it took so long and everything. But when I got married, I used to visualize and because I realized that was something I really wanted, and I was achieving a lot of other things, but really hadn't focused on that. And my brother was helpful in reminding me of this. And so I would go to bed at night and to go back to the sleep step, and I would visualize myself at the church, standing there, looking down the hallway or the aisle, and I could see at the back of the church this stunning woman in this white dress out there, standing there with the light coming in from behind her, kind of like Animals or Blues Brother or Animal House episode. But now you can really tell all that. But, just seeing that vision there, and I could see my brothers over on the side of me. I could see my parents down there, cousins and family members. And sure enough, 5 years later, I mean, that's exactly what ended up happening. It was a wedding just that way and everything. And so visualization and seeing it is just a part of getting where you wanna go. You have to know where you want to go. As I always say, born leaders and positive thinkers, the world isn't filled with them. It's a learned skill. Whether
Mhm.
you're going to learn to be a better leader, better thinker, that's up to you and everything. But you get to control it and everything. And yeah, the world isn't filled with born leaders and positive thinkers. Those are learned skills. Hopefully, 5 steps can help them start learning it for themselves and realizing, maybe this is why the people that have become very, very successful, they've had focus and vision in what they wanted to see happen.
Mhm.
I mean, we've all seen the movie of Zuckerberg and his movie, and how he was so focused on creating something like that, and look what it became, right? I think of just anybody that's young who wants to be a pilot. I've always heard that, people that are pilots, they recognize that when they're like 10 and 12 years old. They just see themselves. I want to be in that plane. That's such a coolest thing. And so they have direction. And
Mhm.
for a lot of people that are in high school, they don't know when after that diploma comes, if they're gonna join the band, join the circus, join the military, get married, what they're going to do, and so it's a matter of trying to figure it out, but once you figure out where it is you want to go,
Mhm.
you can start paddling that direction.
Mhm. I agree that clarity is so important, and you were talking about your visualizations, and before our time here today, our conversation, I got my favorite high top Converse shoes on. Because I wear my favorite shoes and I remind myself who God says that I am before I sit down with somebody so that my tuning system is honed in to pull all the gold out in the conversation and to hear when that's a treasure that I can put in my heart and I go, I got that. I can eat on that and that will help me go down the street. But I got my favorite Converse shoes on today and it's the same thing. It's because they encourage me to be who God has called me to be.
Excellent.
Woo! So how can our listeners connect with you and your resources?
Well, I thank you so much for your time, Kristen, and everything. I really appreciate being a guest on your show and everything. If anybody wants more information on just health and wellness or 5 steps a day of trying to improve their habits and attitude, you can go to drlenlopez.com. You can also download the app, 5 Steps a Day app. It's on Google and Apple Play out there. There's just a lot of resources out there, and hopefully it's a simple tool to help you become bigger, better, bolder.
I love it. I love it. Okay, we're going to dive just a little deeper here. If today's conversation resonated with you, meaning you felt the frequency, you felt God come in his spirit say, there's answers here for you. If you've been nodding all along because you felt that deep connection between your spirit and your aspirations or your physical capacity, then this next moment is just for you. We opened up our conversation today by asking this. Have you ever felt that despite your best effort, your spiritual journey or your physical health, that they're not completely together? They're out of sync, that leaving you tired or your health completely just like frustrated? We asked that. And then we challenged you to consider, what if a simple daily action that you take were actually a key for unlocking a more profound and authentic spiritual awakening? I mean, your whole body, every step that Dr. Len talked about here today. Now it's time to anchor these insights with your faith. We are so honored to have Dr. Len here with us today, who will now transition us from learning. Dr. Len, would you release a powerful prayer or declaration over all of us listening here today?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, let me start say, Lord, thank you so much for the blessings you've given us, Lord. You've given us another day to enjoy what you've given us, Lord. We pray that we find where we're going. A lot of us are still lost out there, Lord. Many of us are lost, are looking, have been let down. May they find comfort in some of the words that we share today. May they find continued comfort with Christine and what she's doing each and every one of her programs out here. We just hope that you can help settle the minds of those who are lost, Lord, and that they can find the resources that they're looking for, whether it's through the words I've provided, hopefully through the words Christine provides, and some of her other guests out there. We just ask that you bless them, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and brilliance with us today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me as a guest.
Oh my goodness, wasn't that so insightful and full of energy? It was so much fun having Dr. Len with us and kind of stepping outside of the box of spirituality, right? We're always talking about spirituality, but we have to look at our whole body. We're the temple of God. And remember, in houses and dwellings and temples, there's different rooms. There's different rooms that we need to upkeep and have dreams and visions for those rooms. I wanted to bring a couple of points that were really important to me. Is we talked a lot about clarity, about having a vision board, knowing where you're going. And it's so important for when you're walking through those 5 steps. And I encourage you just to get online and go to your application store and get the 5 steps application. It is so incredibly easy and useful. It's so easy. It's important that you've had that conversation with God and that the DNA of God and your identity and who you are and what He's called you for and your purposes, so that when we enter into our sleep and we smile because we're envisioning who God has made us and those things that we accomplish and enjoy in His presence. The likes and the desires that we have, because He gives us the desires of our heart. So what was a little nugget that I grabbed in that when you're smiling and you're envisioning as you're going to sleep, you're changing your subconscious mind because you're envisioning the goodness of God in your life. Hang on to that vision, stay in that place until you feel an emotion. That's what I heard today. I go, yes, stay in that place till you can feel that tangible emotion, whether it's an enjoyment, whether it's an affirmation, whether it's just this little nugget that Holy Spirit gives you. Stay in that emotion. And what was the other nugget that just hit me? Go up. You got to do that, Kristen. Totally. We're going to do that. When you wake up, remember he asked us, how long does it take before you tell yourself something affirming? Gold nugget right there. When you set your feet up, when you sit up, tell yourself something affirming who God says you are. What is your intent for the day? Are you going to be kind and courageous? And you're going to move in clarity and action? Yes. So make sure that you share an affirmation with yourself. Maybe put some red lipstick on it and say, yes, we can do that, before the day comes and begins to order your steps. You want to be in charge of your steps, walking with Jesus. Amen. This was so good. Make sure you go back and listen again and sift out and shake out those gold nuggets that help you. I love you so much, and we will talk to you again real soon. Okay? Bye now.